Staying with President-elect Trump's agenda and one of his key campaign promises, his plans for the border. According to an exclusive NBC News report, the Trump transition team is considering whether to conduct a raid targeting undocumented immigrants at an undisclosed workplace in the Washington, D.C. area in the first few days of his new administration. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley has more on that.
Well, good morning, Joe and Savannah. We have some new reporting that shows that the incoming Trump administration is considering doing workplace raids in the D.C. area as soon as Inauguration Day to target immigrants living and working here illegally for deportation as part of Trump's promise for a mass deportation effort that he made so many times on the campaign trail. What makes a workplace raid so visibly shocking and really could increase numbers of deportations is that this means ICE agents come in by surprise to a workplace. Oftentimes we've seen it in poultry plants in the past. That happened in the previous Trump administration. Doing it here in the D.C. area is really would be made to have a shock and awe effect as soon as the president takes office. These plans are not concrete yet. Carol Lee, my colleague, and I have heard they're still in development. They're looking in Northern Virginia, the D.C. proper, and in Maryland. But the idea would be to arrest people who are simply living and working here illegally, not necessarily those hardened criminals that we've heard the incoming Trump officials talk about so often. Tom Homan, the incoming border czar, has said that he wants to target hardened criminals. In a workplace raid, of course, you pick up people who have committed no other crime other than living and working in this country illegally. And oftentimes it could be a father. There could be children at school who won't come home to fathers and mothers who are deported as part of these workplace raids. So that really shows that even though there might be a focus on criminals, there is also a strong voice within this incoming administration to try to cast a net as wide as possible and arrest as many as they can. We've also spoken to some former and current ICE officials about what a workplace raid means. They say it's incredibly logistically complicated and often takes a long investigation beforehand to make sure that no one is arrested who shouldn't be, to be able to investigate a company to figure out if they have a pattern of large-scale hiring of undocumented workers. So it's hard to see how an incoming administration on day one could take such a large action. It also takes quite a lot of resources. There's a lot of manpower behind a raid like this. But in short, what this shows us is that there is a push to try to have some kind of big splash on arrest and deportations very early on in the Trump administration, and they want to do it as close to the action as possible in the D.C. area. So more details as we learn about them. Joe, Savannah?
All right, Julia Ainsley, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.